Hey, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, call hello, Yahweh Bashim, Yahushua Bashim, Bakwadash. Double honors once again go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders, great millstone, who continue to deliver this truth. All right, this is Nama with the DC camp. Also, salutations to the Akim out there throughout the four corners of the world, pushing this truth in all honesty and sincerity. Salutations to you. This is Nama with the DC camp, as I said. And yeah, a lot of you are aware of what's been going on with the incident that happened in the New York subway in Brooklyn. And it's like, at this point, it's like, can you smell it? And remember the old song says a lot of bullshit going down. That's exactly what it is, bullshit. This is, once again, another instrument of fear designed to do just that. All right, instill fear in the people. You know, and this is one of those things that are driving the people, because also what's going on that's closely related, they're trying to get you to support policing once again. I hope you realize that. There are shows popping up everywhere with various talking heads, and you got to understand, the truth came out despite who the people being killed were. A lot of shit was exposed about how these devils are treating Jake. All right. And as usual, every time this happens, there's always a blowback. So what they're trying to do now, since a lot of police said, fuck it, we can't do like back in the old days, what the fuck am I doing this for? So they quit. So, and then of course the big thing, you know, a lot of police and those agencies associated with them, you know, they're a bunch of pompous, self-righteous assholes. All right, so their reputations have been tarnished. All right, so it's like they spent a lot of time looking for ways to undo this. And also you have to understand that too, they're trying to hurry up and get this new world order set up. So all this stuff, all right, is related. All right, they want this shit to continue. This shit, by that I mean they want to extend their rulership. But we know the Most High Yahweh has other designs. All right, it's time for this devil to go. Anyway, this says Brooklyn subway suspect tipped off police to his location. Now, it's already come out that, well, at this particular station, the cameras are down, if you believe that. And to compound that, they say, well, the cameras in the train were off. All we have is cell phone images, which really don't tell us anything, because you're not getting anything from inside the train unless they're holding that. But you notice they're tight-lipped about a lot of stuff. So let's get scriptures real quick. I've gone on too long without them. We're going to go to because at this point it's like, you know, who thought up this shit? This is let's see, 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. If you've been in this a little while, you know that you can see through the bullshit. All right, now let's get this word devices.
Strong's G 3540 Naima.
Naima, a mental perception, thought, an evil purpose. That which thinks the mind, thoughts, or purposes. All right, so this is an evil purpose by these devils. All right, like I said, they know they have a short time. They're trying to hurt and set up this new world order. You're seeing more and more for the people who denied that the MOTB is in fact a device that's going to be inserted in you. They denied all this, and yet you see articles coming out every day. You see it in advertisements on various uh, uh, other methods of news and, TV, whatever have you. They're pushing for this more and more. So things are speeding up. So aside from the fact that a lot of detractors and scoffers have for years denied the fact that this is indeed what's going to happen, now it's in your face. So they're going to be going to have to come up with, I don't know, what are you going to tell your followers now? What excuse are you going to come up with now? All right, but I don't want to get off track on that. But back to this, it's like, okay, now you got this. You've been, for the last 2 years, you've been controlling the people by fear, a great motivator. All right, so what's coming down the pike is another great motivator, and that's famine. All right, next up the bat, number blah, 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 blah. All right, and because you know that all this is being orchestrated, you had, like I said, for the last couple of years, you had the ranchers being told to cull their herds. You had the farmers being told to dispose of their crops, and they're getting paid to do so. So this is being, and also the ships off the coast of LA and probably other ports that they're not telling you, they're not being let, the goods are not being offloaded. So this is done on purpose, and this is to break the will of the people because they want you to accept what's coming down the pipe. The money system is going to change. It's going to digital. All right, so all you fuckheads that said we were crazy and, well, what are you going to do? You're not going to be able to, go to the club and throw up all this fucking money like an idiot to these nasty bitches anymore. Food is scarce. You think shit is crazy now? Wait till a motherfucker can't eat. All right? All this shit is happening, and it's happening quickly. Another thing you have to consider for all you morons out there that go to these churches, they're not telling you, they haven't prepared you what's coming down the pike. We're out there on the highways and byways on the corners telling you this shit, but you think they're crazy. How many movies, and this is Esau, this is the devil, in all the movies, all the years, you've seen instances like this. The people that are actually trying to tell you the truth are the ones that are called crazy. They're scoffed at. They're called mental. And yet, well, look at the story of Noah. All right, look at the story of Noah. Same thing. For over 100 years, he was out there telling them, this is what's going to happen. All right. And for that long, they scoffed at him. This man's crazy. And yet, when shit went down, what were they doing? Mr. Noah. So that's why it says the Most High closed up the ark. All right. So they got what they deserve. The same thing's going to happen here, except instead of water, this time it's going to be fire. All right. Anyway, it goes on to say here, the man accused of shooting 10 people on a Brooklyn subway train was arrested Wednesday and charged with a federal terrorism offense after the suspect himself called the police to come get him. Now, either he was having a mental breakdown of sorts or whatever, because I've watched enough of his videos to determine by myself that, yeah, something's going on upstairs that shouldn't, and he comes out and says himself that he doesn't believe in the scriptures. He doesn't believe in the Most High. So if they're trying to tie him to us, okay, that's another thing that failed. It ain't happening. So I don't know if desperation is setting in or I don't know. But again, it goes to what I said at the top. A lot of this has to do with also the defund the police movement that happened. All right. And this all has to, they're talking about coming back with stop and frisk. And guess who got caught up in that? Jake was harassed like you wouldn't believe. All right. It says, my fellow New Yorkers, we got him, Mayor Eric Adams, and you best believe he's juiced in. All right. One of these Jakes that got caught up in the, in the sauce. It says James was awaiting arraignment on a charge that pertains to terrorist or other violent attacks against mass transit systems and carries a sentence of up to life in prison. All right. It says, in recent months, James railed in online videos about racism and violence in the U.S. and about his experiences with mental health care in New York City. Now, this guy's from somewhere else, all right? And like I said, why would he? I think this guy is a patsy. Anyway, it says, and he criticized Adams' policies on mental health and subway safety. But the motive for the subway attacks remains unclear, and there is no indication that James had ties to terror organizations, international or otherwise. That was too, that was unlike something your average Jake would even think about doing. Let me just put it that way. All right. And if you look at the video, the passengers didn't look like they were reacting like people in a situation like that would normally act. All right. It almost looked like an exercise of sorts. All right. Just my opinion, my observation. All right. It said it wasn't immediately clear whether James, who is from New York but has lived recently in Philadelphia and Milwaukee, has an attorney or anyone else who can speak for him. A sign taped to the door of James' Milwaukee apartment asks that all mail be delivered to a post office box. All right. It says James, in a blue t-shirt and brown pants with his hands cuffed behind his back, didn't respond to reporters shouting questions as police escorted him to a car a few hours after his arrest. Police had launched a massive effort to find him, releasing his name and issuing cell phone alerts. All right. Like I say, you never know. He's, this devil and his tricks, it's yet to be determined. That's all I can say. We're not getting, I can guarantee you this, we're not getting all the facts. Everything's not being released. The cameras were out conveniently. All right. And like I read in that scripture there, we have to be wary of this devil's devices, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Sirach, or Ecclesiastes chapter 12, let me get that real quick, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, who has and always has been our enemy. There you go. This is Sirach 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Is iron always going to rust? Well, the wicked is always going to be the wicked. Though he humbled himself and go crouching, and this is a thing that Jake, because we are naturally a compassionate people, Jake often confuses someone smiling at them as, you've garnered their approval or whatever have you. It's basically comes down to a slave mentality that we still have, or a colonial mentality. That's the one I like to use, because as opposed to the one we usually use, which is Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome does not go as deep as colonial mentality does, because colonial mentality hints at being generational, generation after generation after generation, which is our problem. All right. We're under the curses. All right. It's as though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. At some point, he's going to reveal that he hasn't changed. All right. 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in that place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? We've warned you time and time again. Just like you might wonder why someone who would be a snake charmer, I'm sure you've seen, or a bullfighter, or anyone that's in the presence of a wild animal, all right, don't fuck with them. And if they go ahead and somehow tragedy happens, how are you supposed to feel? You warned them, so fuck them. All right. At the end of the day, it says 14. So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? What's that expression you used to say when we were growing up? You lay down with dogs, you get fleas. All right. So don't lay down with them. 15. For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. And that's going, you can read the rest. But you should know, everybody should know after dealing with, and that's what's ultimately what's happened here, because all these nations, all right, let me see if I can get, all these nations are coming up against this devil now. All right, we can go into, I was going to stay in the New Testament. Well, let's go to Old Testament. Let's go to Isaiah 14. This is talking about a man. It's not talking about, the angel on the left side. It says, I didn't want to read it all, but let's see. Let's see. I will start at 4. Isaiah 14 and 4 says that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Most High Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. All right, and this is, of course, after this devil has fallen. All right, but a lot of these nations are doing this now. It says, 10, skipping down, all they that speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Because this country isn't the big bad bully, the superpower that it once was. There's more parity. Let's get that word real quick. There's more parity in the earth. See what this devil did. He went around. Of course, he's not going to give them everything that he has, but people come here, they go to school to be engineers in various fields. All right, so they take this shit home. All right, the knowledge. Let's see, parity. All right, let's see. Get this one from Merriam. It says the quality or state of being equal or equivalent. So after Little Boy and Fat Man were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world was in awe. Despite Japan trying to surrender as early as February of 1945, and they were aware of this, and they tried again later. But that was done because they wanted to test that weapon, all right? Despite the bullshit excuse about, well, we didn't want to, put a lot of troops on the ground. Well, that's what they're for, aren't they? Why didn't you drop it on Germany or any other Edomite, But no, they did what they did because they wanted to test that weapon or those weapons. And if I remember correctly, Nagasaki was an alternative. I believe it was Overcast or something for the other city. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, but it's like, as it says here, the quality or state of being equal or equivalent. So these people, like, take North Korea, for instance. They starved out their people because what? They wanted to have the means to build up their weapons because they saw the history of how the U.S. operates. All right. Let's see. And that's about it on this. It's not, no reason to, you can read the rest of this yourself. It's just, it's all, and the people that fall for this, I mean, wow. But ultimately, they're coming after us. That's what this is all about. Because they can't deal with us with the scriptures. So they have to look at some other way to get us. And they're going to try to link us with idiots like, all these black nationalists, so called, and these idiots out here that think that they can take down this devil with, his blessing. His blessing is the sword. That's why he's got all the nasty weaponry that he has. That's his blessing. That's what he was created, and that's the blessing that was given unto him. We do not have this. Our blessing is on the spiritual side. All right. Hey, so with that, I hope whoever views this is edified, of course. Once again, this has been Brooklyn Subway Suspect tipped off police to his location. So evidently, it's a whole lot of this we have yet to know, whether he had some kind of breakdown or whatever. I don't know. It just seems fishy. All right. So I guess what I'm saying also is don't jump to conclusions. All right. Because we want to give out right information here. So with that, shalom.